All right. Welcome in, welcome in. We are seeing if this works. We're seeing if this works. I was very, very confused at first because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what was going on. I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't know what was going on at all. But hopefully we got it figured out here. Hopefully. I am trying something new. That's sometimes you got to try something new. Sometimes you got to try something new and it goes haywire and all kinds of things. So we're trying it out. Um currently right now, currently right now, to be fair. Currently right now. Um let's see. Yep, there we go. There we go. Okay. Currently right now we are streaming on both TikTok and YouTube. Currently. We're trying it out. We're seeing if this is even going to be feasible at all. But you know what? It might be. It might not be. We'll figure it out. So if it's enough of a problem there on TikTok or really on either one of them, then I'll go ahead and just just cut it. But I prefer TikTok. If you want to request up there on TikTok. But let's see here. We're seeing how this works. We're seeing how this works. We're gonna see how well it works. It may not work very well. So we'll figure it out here. We will figure it out. But if you do want to request up there on TikTok or there on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube and you have a question, you can comment, and I should be able to respond. Should be able to. But we will see how this goes. Seeing how it works. Yeah, there we go. Save a horse, ride a cowboy there from AZ Mike. What's going on? Okay. So I should be able to monitor it here. Should be able to. There we go. So if anybody has any questions or anything like that, or if anybody has any evidence for Jesus or Paul, come on up. The request button should be down at the bottom, or on YouTube, just check out TikTok. The best way to communicate via voice is definitely going to be through a TikTok stream. Definitely. That's just kind of how it works. Grim says, greetings, J. Aaron, heady artist with the the gimp mask thing. I don't even really know why I have that. If I'm being honest with you, I have no idea why I even have that as something there. Brype says, another internet scholar I see. Where did you get your PhD? I guess theology or Masters of Divinity. So technically my honorary doctorate of divinity is coming from the Universal Life Church, but we're not really going to get into that. I am not a scholar. I am not. I am a data scientist. My degree is in data science from the University of North Texas. If you have any questions about how stellometry, a form of data science, shows that the New Testament is written in the 2nd century, then come on up. I'd like to hear from you. If you've got any evidence for Jesus or Paul existence, I'd like to hear that as well. But come on up. Come on up. Let's see. Nate Aderholm says, Mr. I use Jewish ideology to make money the most boring way possible. I don't even... What? Me? I'm not Jewish. What are you talking about? That's really weird. That is really strange. Whatever your name is. You know what? Here, I'm going to send you an invite. Oh, you can't. Because either you don't have enough followers or you've set your profile to private so that you can chirp in the comments and not actually be accountable. Let's see here. Well, that's just how that goes sometimes. All right. Let's see. We've got the master of all 6 races. Yes. I'm like Thanos. I'm just gathering all the different race stones. Oh gosh. Jake waving in the chat with a little fucking turkey. Awesome. But yeah, Bright Bean, you can request up there. Yeah, I'll have a conversation with you. It says, so you all of a sudden know better than thousands of scholars over the millennial. What? I don't even really know what I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't even really know what you're saying. You're just kind of saying words. All right, but if anybody has any evidence for Jesus or Paul, come on up. That made a lot of sense. The millennial the millennial scholars? Is that what he's talking about? Over the millennials. Yeah, that'd be nice. Let's see. Only trust Gen Z scholars. I don't even know what that last word means. Maybe I'm too cheeky to understand. That's probably the case. Oh, okay. I was like, that looks like some Gen Z word that I'm too skibbity old to actually understand. I think he meant millennium. Yeah, I think he did. I think he actually meant millennia, to be honest. But regardless, it doesn't make any difference. He's just kind of chirping in the comments. If you'd like to come up, Bribe Pie or whatever your name is, request up there on TikTok. I'd love to hear from you. If you have evidence that Jesus or Paul existed, come on up. I want to hear from you. The best way to do so is to request up there on TikTok. I am currently streaming on YouTube and TikTok. But yeah. Yeah, if anybody has any questions over on the YouTube side, go ahead and throw a chat out there, or throw a comment in there so I can see what's going on. I don't believe I have any comments there on YouTube, but I have no idea. Gigawatt says, "I seen Jesus come in a man." That's that. Yes, and yes, AZ Mike, I do have the meat. Let me see if I can get this signed in. Man, as soon as I started like trying to set up both YouTube and TikTok, it's as if everything just decides to just shut down for me. So here's this.
Arby's, we have the meat.
Hopefully that worked on both YouTube and TikTok. Let's see. The banner is pretty. Oh, well, yeah, the banner's a little prettier, but it's still cut off. So I think that's only on iPhones. Because it's perfectly fine on my Android. Let me check to see what it looks like on. Let me check to see what it looks like on YouTube really fast. I do want to see. Let me see here. I assume that it'll say that I'm live. Oh, I got to put that out. There we go. Yeah, it looks fine. Oh, there is a chat. There's the chat there. I apologize there for missing that chat. For some reason, it's not wanting to show me there. It's weird. I apologize. Apologize there for. Oops. I apologize there for missing the chat there on. There he goes. All right, there we go. Prove Jesus is not real. Jesus is reap. Jesus is real. I am in two places at once. They're from Serenity. Messiah King R3W says, hi. Give evidence there wasn't Jesus or Paul. Let's start there. Jeff Tucker is asking some questions. I've heard nothing from you. It's horrible. I don't even know what that person's talking about. Can you please explain to me on why you think Jesus didn't exist? Serenity? Not even really sure on that one. But I can say that as far as Jesus goes, as far as Jesus and Paul goes, when it comes to the New Testament, it is actually written in the 2nd century as opposed to the 1st. We can tell using a myriad of different ways, most notably stellometry. This is a form of literary analysis which seeks to attribute authorship by taking a look at the most frequently used words, the sentence structure of a text in order to try to figure out who the author is. And we see that it lines up with second century style writing in Greek as opposed to first century, as well as in some cases we're actually able to identify authors of certain parts of the New Testament text. So if it was written in the second century, then the Jesus and Paul as presented by the New Testament didn't exist, unfortunately, because Paul is presented as somebody who is writing these letters in the first century. So if they're written in the second, then that's just not him. So my official stance, me and my data science co-partner here, our official stance is that even the natural Jesus and Paul, as presented by the New Testament, did not exist. If anybody has any questions, or if you want to hop up and provide some evidence, hop up there on TikTok, just Christ Before Jesus there on TikTok. You can only see the K and checkout on your iPhone? God damn. Must be really, really zoomed in on the iPhone. I don't know why, because that's pretty far over on the normal stream. Let's see. Ooh, dual stream. Oh yeah. I switched sides. Oh hey, it's Elizabeth. Oh my gosh. Jesus is a myth like Hercules. Yep. MAGA Truth Fighter says he's spewing Jewish lies. So what? First of all, not Jewish. Secondly, no. If you have any evidence that Jesus or Paul existed, come on up over there on TikTok. I'd like to hear from you. I'm double streaming. Oh, nice. Nice. Man, all over the place. Show up on all devices. I don't know. I don't know why it looks like that. I couldn't tell you why. I'm going to have to kind of play around with the background and everything to see if it eventually works. But what are the anachronisms you found in the text? So as far as the anachronisms go, there are things in the story of Paul and the story of Jesus that don't fit the time. This would be called anachronisms, and it highlights exactly certain spots that are historically impossible. So the Jesus that's presented in the New Testament definitely didn't exist. Technically speaking, all that I need for my statement to be true, the idea that the natural Jesus presented by the New Testament didn't exist, is just to show that it contradicts itself. And there's definitely times in the Gospels that the Gospels contradict themselves, including one instance in the Gospel of Luke that seems to contradict itself with itself. So it says that Mary is pregnant during the time of Herod the Great, but Herod the Great dies in roughly about 4 BCE. So then Jesus in Luke 2 says that Mary is still pregnant during the reign of Quirinius, the governor of Syria, which happens in 6 CE. That would be about a 10-year difference. So I guess Mary was pregnant for 10 years. Like, none of it makes any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. Let's see. Oh, that's what it's covered on. I don't know why. It's like really zoomed in on iPhones. So I'll have to like work with it or something like that. It was weird over here on YouTube. Oh, weird. It says looks great over here. That's strange. MAGA Truth Fighter says, my proof is the Bible. I trust the scripture over anything you or the Jews say. Again, not sure why he's singling out the Jewish people. But all right. I mean, that's perfectly fine. I mean, your Bible is literally filled with contradictions and things that don't line up with history. Origen himself, early church father in the early to mid 3rd century, said that God put inconsistencies and contradictions into the New Testament in order to make you believe it spiritually. And he said he wouldn't hold it against you if you felt like the New Testament did not line up with history, which it doesn't because it's not real. It's mythology. But nevertheless, hopefully some people, maybe not this MAGA guy who keeps talking about Jews, hopefully some people can see the problem with Origen's logic there. Bloodbot says God is responsible for the fact of free will. Okay, awesome. We're not talking about God here. We're talking about Jesus and Paul. If anybody has any evidence for Jesus or Paul, come on up. Over there on TikTok is the best way to do it. None of your business. You know what? None of your business. Here, let me see if I can. Okay, I just sent you an invite there. Tacitus, Suetonius, Roman historians, and Josephus, a Jewish historian, both wrote about Jesus and Paul. Non. You also misspelled Paul. I don't know how you did that. I've never seen that spelling of Paul before. But none of your business. If you'd like to come up, you can. Do you think the soldiers stole the body? No, I don't think the body existed. So it's just, it didn't exist. It's kind of hard to steal somebody's body when they don't exist. It's just mythology. Let's see here. We've got one person who's looking to come up here. Cougar Beatrice, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, cool. What you got?
Okay, just real quick, I'm actually like atheist on Christianity personally. I'm curious, what do you date like the P4 manuscript of Luke at?
P4?
Yeah,
Specifically P4.
because
Okay.
that seems to be the scholarly consensus from what I read was 80 to 90 AD. But
No. Then the
okay,
manuscript, a manuscript called P4, Papyrus 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see here. It says the date is 150 to 300.
Okay, well, Wikipedia fucked me. I don't know what to say.
Well, that's what I'm looking at.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you read the first like paragraph? Does it not say 80 to 90? I don't want to leave
Let me
the app.
see if I
here,
can.
but-
Let me see if I can get this up here. Yeah, it says 150 to 300.
What does the wait? This might be a different one
P4,
that I was
Papyrus
looking
4.
for.
What are you talking about?
The first thing that came up under I think on the page like Gospel of Luke,
So, all right.
it'll come up as the
Here's-
earliest.
Here's really quick. There's a big difference between what you're talking about and what you read. So what you're talking about is a manuscript, and we don't have anything from even the beginning of the 2nd century. We don't even have anything from the middle of the 2nd
Okay.
century. Now,
Okay.
as far as the dating of Luke, like around like 80, 90 or so, that's when they believe that Luke was initially written. So there's a big difference between when the manuscripts or the fragments go or
Yeah.
when they date to, like physically, and when the book itself was initially said to be written. There's a big difference between those two. So most scholars would place the Gospel of Mark somewhere around about 70. Matthew is anywhere from like 80, 85 or so, and then Luke is about 85 to 90, and then John is about 90 to 110. That's when
Okay.
they say that these
So
are
you-
written initially, but we don't have any manuscripts or fragments or anything like that that date to that time. That's just when they believe that they're written. The manuscripts or the fragments would be
I
later
see.
copies.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
So I'm not dating things and saying they're from the 2nd century because like the manuscripts are late. Like, no, that has nothing really to do with it. The manuscripts only provide the latest that a document could be. Because let's go through an example really fast. Let's say that you and I wrote a book together. All right.
Mhm.
The latest that book could possibly have been written, if someone was trying to figure out when it was written, the latest it could be written is some particular time when it gets quoted by somebody else, or some particular time when we actually have an actual copy. So if there's a copy that it gets dated to say, 2026, then that means the latest we could have written that book would be 2026, right?
Yeah, totally.
Like it could have been before that, but the
it could have been
latest
before
would-
that.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I think the thing is also I'm curious what you think about how like the Gospel of Luke is introduced. Like to that end, he's not claiming like first person, that it to be his first person. It says something along the lines of like these are the accounts of people who were close to the events and have been written down and passed down. So it's not like he's claiming, I wrote this shit down as it happened. You know what I mean?
Right,
So
yeah.
is there an inroad for like the apologist to say like, well, so they could have been, he's doing more of a compilation or whatever. So these things could have been written prior to
Yeah, I mean,
whenever this was.
yeah, well, so Yes, in the Gospel of Luke, it explicitly says that there are Gospels that came out before it. And as a data scientist, when we take a look at the Greek New Testament, like the Codex Sinaiticus or the Codex Vaticanus, these are the oldest, collections that we have of the New Testament. We can actually see that roughly chapters 4 through 22 of the Gospel of Luke are a different author, which means this is the source material for the Gospel of Luke, and that source material itself actually dates to about 144. It's a gospel called Evangelon. It's published by a Christian theologian named Marcion. So we actually see that
Okay.
the Gospels, like the Gospel of Luke, is actually utilizing a gospel that came out before it. There's even a holdover in Luke 4, which is there's a verse in there that I can pull up if you want, but it shows us that the Gospel of Luke is using this earlier gospel called Evangelon because there's a verse in there that's only found in Evangelon, and it's out of place in the Gospel of Luke.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
it's actually a pretty good tell that the Gospel of Luke was actually published after 144. So
Awesome.
believe it or not, the first time that the Gospel of Luke is even sort of kind of quoted, uh, not officially or specifically mentioned, but kind of sort of quoted. So the Gospel of Luke includes Jesus crying, or not crying, but sweating drops of blood in the Garden of Gethsemane when he's praying, if you remember that part.
Yeah.
So that's what is in the Gospel of Luke, and it's exclusive to it. And the first time that is mentioned is in the 150s by Justin Martyr. He doesn't say it's in the Gospel of Luke, but he just kind of he just mentions that Jesus sweat drops of blood. Prior to that, we do not have anything that is mentioned that is explicitly in the Gospel of Luke and not in the Gospel that Luke borrows from, which is called Evangelon.
Okay.
Yeah. So what that does is it gives us a range. If the latest that, or the first time that it gets mentioned, possibly is about 155 or so from Justin Martyr, and the material that it sources is in 144, and that's when it's published. That means that the Gospel of Luke must have been written between 144 and 155.
Hmm. Fair enough. Also, it sounded earlier as you were going through them. So you do grant Markan priority?
Of the four canonical Gospels, sure, but
Yeah.
Markan
Okay.
priority of those doesn't necessarily mean that it's the first Gospel that's ever published. And the first Gospel that's published, I believe, is Marcion's Evangelon, again, roughly about 144.
Gotcha.
The Gospel of Mark, at least from what I can tell, is like a play version or like a dramatic version of the Gospel story. Marcion, have you ever heard of Marcion, by the way?
No, this is the first I'm hearing.
Oh, okay. So Marcion is, again, the best thing to call him would be a Christian theologian. Later Christians hate him. They deem him a heretic because he has a version of the gospel that is, or the gospel story that is very different from what we generally hear. He thinks that Jesus is, or he presents Jesus as the son of an unknown God, God the Father, who is different from Yahweh. He's trying to not die on the cross for our sins, but rather save humanity from this evil demiurge who created the world and set up the laws. And yeah. So, anyways, the point is, it's a little kooky, if you will, but nevertheless, his gospel comes out in 144, and Marcion is what we call him today. His name was actually pronounced Markion back then, and that means little Mark. So you can kind of put it together that the chances are this gospel according to Mark is most likely just a version of his story or his gospel that came out. Just about every line in the Gospel of Mark starts off with and then, or the Greek word kai. So it's as if it's telling you like the next part of the scene. As opposed to telling you a story. It also has an amazing amount of present tense verbs. So instead of Jesus did this, it says Jesus is doing this. So it seems like it's more of a play version of the gospel than anything else, which makes sense because back then that they would put on plays to tell a story.
Gotta be able to act it out.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Sorry, I have like a hard out at 11, but do you know Justin, or have you ever done
Yeah,
the show like The Line
Deconstruction
or
Zone.
the Deconstruction Zone?
Hmm.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I watch them a lot. So,
I've talked with him a couple times on this issue. He is yet to read my book on this. I mean, my co-author's book. He does
because he's not
have
a
the book.
mythicist, right? He's not,
Well, okay, so no, he is not a mythicist, but he has given me and my co-author our flowers from time to time. He's definitely I would definitely consider him a friend. I like Justin. I think that he's a really good guy. He's not a mythicist, but I think I could get him there. I think I could get him there.
yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
But yeah.
If one day, if you guys can get Dan McClellan in on it.
Oh, well, Dan
be a dream
McClellan
team,
fucking
but-
hates me. Oh, he absolutely hates me.
I'm sorry to hear that.
He calls what my co-author and I do. This is a direct quote from him: math and computer type stuff.
I mean, he's not wrong.
I mean, he's not wrong, but it's pretty clear that he doesn't know what it is. And before our book came out in March of 2024, we actually messaged him, we emailed him a few times, a couple follow-ups, just to say, hey, we'd like to discuss our findings with you and kind of discuss these things. He read the emails and never responded. He also read messages.
How do you
that
know
we
you
sent
read?
out
Well,
because we
you
had
got
read
red
receipts.
receipts on your emails.
Yep. We actually signed up for an email client whenever we were putting together our book was about to be published, and we didn't know that it had a read receipt. We
That's
didn't know.
diabolical.
It was through a Titan Mail is the email client. We just used it because it came with a website, and it fucking came with a read receipt, and it showed us every single time he read that
psychotic.
message. Yeah. And so we didn't put it on; it just came with it. We usually use Gmail. So we knew that he read the messages and he never responded. And then he'll read things on TikTok and just never respond. But then whenever somebody brought up our book and our work on a live, it was very clear that he didn't know much about it. So he just called it math stuff, and his partner, Dan Beecher, made a comment and said, oh, well, if there's anything about history that we can know, I'm sure it's math that's going to help us figure it out. He made like a sarcastic comment, but that's what we'd use for like carbon dating is math.
Yeah.
So,
He'll come around. He'll come around. I'm holding on.
We'll get him there.
All right. Thanks so much, man.
All right. Thanks. Thanks for coming up. Alrighty. Let me see if there's anyways. I think there was someone else who was wanting to come up here. Let me see. And if you do want to come up and ask some voice questions, hop over there on TikTok, Christ Before Jesus, request up, and we'll talk about it there. There on YouTube, I did want to get some questions. What is this math stuff? The math stuff that I'm referring to, or what Dan McClellan was completely confused by, is called stellometry. We use distance formulas, most notably a distance formula called Eder's delta from Dr. Maciej Eder, a mathematician out of Poland, I think. Anyways, the point is, it is a way to determine authorship in a text by taking a look at the distance between words, the frequency of words, and just kind of ranking them and trying to figure out, based on the most frequently used words like filter word or function words like I, you, and, the, but, these things, just who an author is, because it's scientifically shown that we use these function words in our own unique way. So the way that we can determine authorship is realistically through math. It's got a lot of different ways that it's been used before. It was able to find the Oklahoma City bomber, I believe, or the Unabomber, I'm pretty sure it was captured using some stellometry. It's utilized in courts, and that's how we know that J.K. Rowling. That's how we know that J.K. Rowling wrote a book under the pseudonym Robert Galbraith in 2014. What is going on? It says G7 there, but the architect, I think. What's going on?
Hey man, I know what's gonna happen in 2030.
Cool.
And it has to do with
so
Christ's
any
death
evidence for
and
Jesus and Paul 2,000 years ago?
Yes, Jesus had activated his 13th DNA strand using monatomic gold that he created in his body. So we have 12 crystalline DNA strands, and once you activate the 12, you can activate the 13th by dripping the pineal.
Oh, okay,
You
okay,
know, the
okay. Yeah, yeah,
golden.
yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. So, there's a one particular there's a person who actually tells you how you can do that. Did you want to know his name? He's on YouTube. Did you want to know his name?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And his name is John C.
All right. Well, that guy's gone. All right. We're moving on to somebody else now. What the hell was that all about? Oh God. All right, all right, all right. So we've got farm. I don't know, farm something. What you got?
Hi, you call me Marcelo. You want?
Marcelo. Okay.
Um, so that was funny, but I was going to ask you. Uh, Last time I came up and asked about the criterion of embarrassment, that you told me is really not very useful.
Not
Uh,
really.
and I was,
It's an apologetics
yeah.
talking point as opposed to realistically how we take a look at history or anything like that.
Exactly. But I did have a question about when for example, Matthew and Luke in the second chapter, they both contradict about the birth of Jesus, right? On the dating.
Correct.
Um, and some Christians would like to argue that the census is mentioning a previous census than the one that is recorded by Josephus.
Okay. Do we have any evidence of that census?
No,
All right.
no.
Well,
I wanted to
fantastic.
know if you
Then I
knew
guess I'm
about
going to
it.
go ahead and wash my hands of it.
Yeah, we have Josephus is actually uses that this is the first census in 6 DC. So Josephus, actually the Greek in Josephus would clarify that it is not possible that it would have been a previous census than 6 DC.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Uh,
the biggest issue with the idea of it being an earlier census is the fact that it's explicitly mentioned Quirinius, the governor of Syria. Not only was he made governor in 6 CE, but it's also talking specifically about him in Syria, because it's at that point that Judea had been considered part of Syria. Like that, it had been
exactly.
brought into Syria for the purpose of a census. That was the point.
Exactly. So, like Matthew says by Herodotus, it was not under Roman as a Roman province, right, Judea, but Luke says that it was. So either it is or it isn't. But well, yeah, my argument is that Josephus explicitly says this is the first of the registrations. He wouldn't say like this is the earlier of the registrations or the previous of the registrations. That doesn't make sense. That's just not how language works.
Right.
But well, I just wanted to know if you had a view on it because I haven't heard you talk about that.
The census?
Yeah, so do you touch that topic a lot or
Yeah,
not
yeah,
really?
we talk about it a lot. Yeah, the census that happens in Luke 2 is very clearly not lined up with Matthew or anything like that. I mean, it doesn't even make any sense. Quirinius is governor of Syria, and he replaces Herod Archelaus, who replaces his father after he died. So the idea that there would somehow be Herod the Great and Quirinius at the same time doesn't really make a lot of sense. Because I mean,
Exactly. Okay.
it just logistically it wouldn't work anyways. Because
Yeah, it's just
if Herod
impossible.
and Quirinius were both reigning at the same time in the way that the Bible explains, okay, here's the evidence. The only possible thing that they point to. So Catholics actually bring this up quite a bit. Well, every once in a while. So there's a stone or an inscription that mentions. It doesn't mention Quirinius. It doesn't say when this is, and it doesn't say the name of this person. But there's a stone or an inscription that says something to the effect of twice ruler of Syria or something. And
Mm-hmm.
what the Catholics believe, or what some apologists believe, is that this is talking about Quirinius, and that it's explicitly talking about this time, which means that there's a census of Quirinius during Herod the Great, potentially, and also 6 CE, which is what's talked about by Josephus. That's an absurd claim with a whole bunch of different hurdles to jump over. However, let's think about the logistics of this. If Quirinius was the governor of Syria during the time that Herod the Great was king of Judea, then there wouldn't be any need for Quirinius to even be mentioned. They wouldn't need to bring it into Syria for the purpose of a census or anything like that. The only reason that Quirinius is overseeing this all is because Archelaus had been banished. If Archelaus or Herod the Great, his father, would have still been in there, then they would have communicated directly with Herod the Great, as opposed to having to bring someone else in from Syria. So, so in other words, if there was a census and it worked through King Herod because he was the king of Judea, I don't know why Quirinius is even mentioned. He's in Syria. Why does that's completely irrelevant to the conversation. It's a pointless thing to mention. Like Luke very clearly would have said a census during the reign of King Herod, because he would have been much more central of a figure to Judea. Why the hell are you mentioning somebody up in Syria? Who cares? Like, if this is a census that is happening during King Herod should be mentioned in Luke 2, not Quirinius.
I remember now. It was Lapis Tiburtinus. That's the stone that they would claim that it would have some inscription, and it might be, because they cannot even claim that it is. They can only claim that this would explain it. So we hope that it will. It's kind of like that. But yeah, okay, thank you. I just wanted to know what you thought about it. So pretty much, I agree. It's one of the most explicit contradictions, like historical contradictions, that it just cannot be resolved ever.
Yeah,
thank you.
It's pretty silly. But yeah. Thanks for coming up, though. Thanks.
My pleasure.
Yep. Let's see here. I think we've got someone coming up. Hopefully. I don't know if they're connected or not. Devil's Advocate 89. What is going on? And by the way, if you're watching on YouTube and you're thinking, hey, how can I talk to this guy over there on TikTok? Well, then come over onto TikTok and we can actually have a conversation. If you send a message over, if I see it over in the chat there, if I see it in the chat there on YouTube, I might be able to address the question. But if you do want to have a conversation, just hop over to TikTok. It's Christ Before Jesus. But what is going on? Devil's Advocate.
Hey there. Good morning, man.
Hey.
So in regards to that consensus, there's another thing that I just wanted to clarify on there too. Mary and Joseph had moved from where the consensus took place, like I think it's several, like almost over a decade beforehand, right? So even if a consensus was requested for them to go back to that area to do the consensus, that's something that would have definitely been recorded, because it was basically calling people from all the surrounding areas, not just that area in particular. Is that about right? I had heard that. I think
I'm not exactly sure of where they're getting the idea that they had moved prior.
Well, that was my understanding. So that's why I just wanted to clarify that, because I thought that they had moved from. Because where did the consensus actually take place? It was in
really quick. Just this is a little thing. A census, not consensus. Consensus is like a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Census would be like
bad.
Measuring something. So as far as the census goes, so it happened in 6 CE. There's not really any mention of where they lived prior in Matthew or anything. In Luke, it says that they lived in Nazareth. They lived in Bethlehem. So they go, no, shit. I've actually said the correct thing first. They lived in Nazareth, and they go to Bethlehem, and then they go back to Nazareth in Luke. In the Gospel of Matthew, the census isn't mentioned, but neither is where they're originally from. It just says that Jesus is born in Bethlehem. That's it. So it almost implies that they've been there the whole time. In fact, it says after they come out of Egypt, when they're supposedly hiding from King Herod, who wants to unalive Jesus, it says that he tried to go back to Judea. So in other words, it's like an attempt to go back to Bethlehem, which is in Judea. And he gets warned by an angel not to go there, but to go to Galilee. And so he ends up in Nazareth as opposed to being there initially, or being from there initially.
Correct. Yeah. And see, and that's so where I had come across that was on a podcast with Alex O'Connell and another guy, and they were discussing that, and they were talking about just the fact of all the moving around, and basically when they had him go there, right? Because in the scripture it talks about Jesus, or the man born from Nazareth, right? The Messiah born from Nazareth. And it was like almost like they were trying to make it like fulfill Bible prophecy. That's basically what the writer was doing, was writing something in just to make sure that was covered on there. But it would have meant that they would have had to travel back and forth numerous times. And with the, with the resources available for travel back then, it just didn't make sense. And it was just one of those other things where it looks like they were really just trying to control the narrative and put things in place just to make things happen. So it just gave it more, but it ended up just doing the opposite for the reader today, like to understand how long these things would have taken.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's really not it's really not a very believable story, especially when you take a look at Matthew and compare it to Luke. It just falls all apart. But just the story in general of Matthew is just absolutely insane, because it starts talking about how Herod goes around and unalives a whole bunch of kids over in Bethlehem, and it's like, how is that not like front page news everywhere in Judea? Like that's terrible. But supposedly that happens, and then he goes to Egypt and stays down there for a while, and then comes back. And I mean, the interesting thing about this is that if you asked like a scholar, like, oh, when was Jesus actually born? They would tell you, oh, somewhere between 6 and 4 BCE. And the reason they do this is because they take Matthew to be more correct than Luke. I'm not really sure why, but they do. But the thing about Matthew is that it's got more unbelievable shit than Luke does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's got like the star that apparently moves or whatever and will stop above a place.
I was like, how do you know that's directly above?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. People are constantly getting dreams, and there's this multiple things that supposedly happen that just never happen, like the star, but then also the massacre of the innocents and stuff. And it's like, what? That's the version that you think is actually like more accurate than Luke? Like, Luke just has him going down there for a census and he's pooped out, and they just kind of go home after going to the temple. The only crazy thing about that, aside from the virgin birth, but that's also found in Matthew, the craziest thing about that is that like angels show up and tell shepherds, "Hey, go check out that baby." That's the craziest part. Yeah. But like Luke is the one that scholars are just like, no, and just toss it out the window. Like, okay. Now, granted, if Luke is correct, then Jesus is born in 6 CE, and then in Luke 3 it says he starts his ministry around 30, and if his ministry lasts about 3 years, as surmised by the Gospel of John, reading the Gospel of John, because it says that there's 3 different Passovers in Jerusalem that he attends, Passover celebrations, then during his ministry. That means that his ministry went on for 3 years, so Jesus is roughly about 33 or so whenever he dies. If that's the case, then he would have died somewhere around about 39 CE in the Gospel of Luke, but Pilate was dismissed in 36. So if you take the Gospel of Luke as legitimate, then the story falls apart. If you take the story of Matthew as legitimate instead of Luke, then the story is just dumb and just never really holds weight to begin with. So,
yeah,
pick your poison.
And kind of talking from what you were talking about in Luke, I think you guys had, through the software you were using, determined that I think it was like chapters 1 through 3, and then numerous chapters in the end actually had difference in writing styles that were on there, right?
Yeah.
In your book, I actually just got on the Audible. I just bought the your guys' kind of like Audible version on there.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to diving into it. I haven't had an opportunity yet, but I was watching a podcast with I believe it's a Myth, something Myth. I'm
Myth
trying to
Vision?
remember what the podcast name was. Yeah, Myth Vision.
Yeah.
That was great, man. I love that. That was awesome to watch. But you guys talk about like I think it's Marcion
Mhm.
and some of these other individuals. Do you in your book do you go like break down who these characters were and just give a little bit more detail as to like their involvement and how they got involved with like writing in these different portions and stuff?
Like the later authors, you mean?
Yeah, yeah. Like, do you explain like kind of their background and like where they're from? Because like I'm hearing these names and they were all new to me, so I was like, I need to dive into this. Or I was just curious if like,
Who? Like
you
Marcion
end
and
up
like the
going
church
into that.
fathers? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it-
Oh yeah, we get we get into pretty heavy
Okay, cool. I'm
detail about
excited.
like the church fathers. There's a lot of names, dates, and places that we throw at you. So if you hated history class,
Okay,
you're gonna
excellent.
hate this book. If you loved history class or you're
No,
into
I'm
it
looking
now,
forward
then
to it.
you're
I'm
gonna love
absolutely
it.
looking forward to it, man. Because I hadn't really heard those names before too
Mhm.
much. Like I'd come across them in passing, but I'm looking. Man, it's just crazy stuff. Thank you for the due diligence you guys put into this because it's great. Yeah, anybody who's on here who hasn't even had a chance to glance to see what these guys are talking about, it's pretty incredible.
Well, thank you very
Right
much
on, man.
for
I appreciate
for
your time this morning,
kind
bro.
words.
And
Very nice
I'll come back,
for
jump back
your-
on when I have some more questions.
All right, thanks. All right. Let me check some of the comments here. Let's see. Over there on YouTube, we've got some people talking about, looks like Dr. Pepper or something. What is, you know what? I'm not going to read that anymore. All right. It says, let's see. I think most of the people over there on YouTube are just people who are also on TikTok. So I like you guys. I appreciate you guys. What do we got? There we go. Thank you very, very much for doing that. All right. So something to something. Oscar Romero. You know what? I'm not even. You know what? YouTube is a lost cause. I'm gonna go ahead and just keep looking over here. Dr. Pepper. Oh, and Storm's talking about Dr. Pepper over here on TikTok. Lovely. Let's see. Sorry, I only have one device. Oh, no worries. Okay, so the lag is still there. What? There's lagging? Hopefully there's not lagging. Hopefully there's not a lot, but we'll try to figure it out. The book sounds interesting. Well, thank you very much. Gonzo777. Thank you very much. Check it out. Let me know what you think. Sapa says all you need to know is 144 and 37 to 36. Those are the two dates you need. Without the Shepherd story, we wouldn't have the most annoying Christmas song. So, first of all, the most annoying Christmas song by far is Mariah Carey. Then, second is Feliz Navidad because, oh my God. Number 3, I don't know what number 3 would be.
Hey,
Yo, what's going on?
so yeah, so people may have been experiencing that TikTok's been like glitching. There's been things going on. So I'm part of an agency from back when they actually did things for creators. And on my agency's Discord server, they had announced that yes, it is because the acquisition of the American assets of TikTok were finalized the other day by Oracle, and there's 2 other companies, but Oracle is like the chief holder of the American assets. And what they're doing right now is systematically restarting their servers, because if they did them all at once, it could take up to like 6 months for people to get full access back to TikTok. But also they put like a little political side note, and they stated that the CEO, the owner, the founder of Oracle is a huge Trump supporter. And while he has stated he's not going to do anything as far as TikTok's concerned, because he realizes that some people need this platform for some additional financial aid. But what he is going to do is turn TikTok into a double-edged sword. So any money that Oracle receives from the gifting and stuff from TikTok is going to go to support the next MAGA candidate after Trump.
This is an announcement from Larry Ellison himself?
No, this was so on this is something that he has. I guess he's mentioned it. I'm part of the Nebula Network. It's an agency from back when agencies actually did things for creators. And it's an announcement that they had put on because they speak like directly with TikTok, which is why they were so beneficial. If you're like constantly getting banned and stuff, the agencies were the ones that could help get your account unbanned. But it was a thing that they had put on their thing that he had said. So whether or not he actually said it, that I don't know. I just know that they speak directly with TikTok, and these were some like question and answers from TikTok that they have received.
Interesting. Huh.
They had asked what is going on with all the glitching, and they're like, yeah, it's because they're restarting the servers. And then they're like, what can the guests expect, or what can the creators expect moving forward with TikTok since Oracle owns it? And that's when they're like, nothing's gonna happen. And then they'd asked, what about those that are going to be aware of his political standing? And they're like, well, he has told us that to be forthcoming, it's going to be a double-edged sword. So
Gotcha.
I don't know if he's ever publicly stated this.
No, I have no idea. But I mean, either way, I mean, look, at the end of the day, if you want to support your favorite TikTokers and whatnot, I mean, gifts are still, gifts are still the easiest way, especially here on TikTok and everything like that. But I do specifically have a Cash App that is, I guess, there's is there a $sign in everybody's Cash App thing? Is that just kind of how it goes?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just
Yep.
CBJ Book, CBJ Book, and I'm sure Cyber has a Cash App as well. I don't know it off the top of my head though.
It's on my link tree in my bio.
Okay, there you go. Yep. The Cash App is also in the link tree there on our bio as well, or my bio. So if anybody wants to support that way, that'd be awesome. But I mean, I understand that the easiest way, especially on TikTok, whatnot, is to just like give gifts and stuff like that. And so I'm appreciative of anything that Matthew and I get, as far as help goes, like towards donating books or anything like that to kind of help spread awareness and get those that information out there. But either way, and also, hey, look, there's books as well, just as straight up Amazon. But then there's Jeff Bezos, so it's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't, But but still,
yeah. And Hanji, where's your announcement at, just so I could go read it?
I basically said what she had put. She put,
gigawatts. That's why I was saying back when agencies used to do things for creators, they don't anymore. They haven't for like the last year.
Yeah. But anyways, let's see.
So I'm going to go to work. I'm going to hop off.
Oh, I thought he was already at work. Anyways, that's Cyber, everybody. Cyber deconstruction. Cyber deconstruction. All right. I see Tahir over there, over on YouTube. Here said the word wild, with like a billion eyes. Good old Tahir. All right. Let's see. It's good to hear from you. Okay. Why did I do that to myself? I meant this one. There it is. All right. Anyways. Let's see. Do you need mods for YouTube as well? I think we just need as many comments as possible. I don't really give a shit. Just going on YouTube. All right. Anyways. Let me see if there's no request there on TikTok. We're trying it out for right now. As far as the dual stream goes, I don't have a problem with doing dual stream at the moment, just to kind of just kind of boost the YouTube side of things. I'll probably stop the YouTube stream here before too terribly long. But if you do want to come up, you can over there on TikTok. Come on up, request up. If you think that Jesus or Paul existed, it's not that I don't care. I don't care about the comments. Just engagement's engagement. That's what I'm saying. But anyways, if you want to request up, do so over on TikTok. That's the best way to have a conversation there. But come on up. If you think that Jesus or Paul existed 2,000 years ago, I want to hear from you. Let's hear. All right. I think yeah. Okay. I know I've talked to this person before. The username is very, very. You like my engagement? To some extent. Yes. This is the goddamn Juggernaut balls or something.
The goddamn Juggernaut, bitch, like a Tribe Called Quest or a pimp named Slickback. You can't just call me Slickback for short.
Correct. So I've got to say the whole name, the goddamn Juggernaut balls. There we go. What you got?
I wanted to let you know it was a great success.
What was?
And I want to see what you think. The premise that the debate space that Christianity is gay proved me wrong.
Oh my
I
God.
made some images for it. I wanted to show you the background images I made.
I would not like to see those. But that being said,
Oh, you would not?
no, because I'm not
Well, I
really
put
sure
one
how
up here. It's
appropriate they
very
are, and I'm
wholesome.
dual streaming right now, and I don't want to get
I
a
just
yellow
put
fruit
one up.
on
It's
both.
very wholesome. They're TikTok friendly. Look at it.
Oh,
Look at
okay.
it.
Well, that's
Look at it.
that's not bad. Yeah,
Isn't
that's
it beautiful?
Fine. Yeah, that's fine. That's
I thought it was lovely.
yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
If you can't see that over there on TikTok, or on YouTube, it's basically just how would I? It
Usually
is
you can tap
basically God is kind of a bear, and Jesus is maybe an otter. I would say.
And they're roller skating.
And they're roller skating. There's a lot of fuchsia. And I understand that as a man that said
And
fuchsia
rainbows.
instead of purple or pink, that makes me sound like I might be, but I'm not, or maybe I am.
And the top text says, "Your love to me was wonderful, surpassing the love of women." 2 Samuel 1:26.
Yes.
And the
yes.
bottom text says, "Christianity is gay, prove me wrong."
Anyways, as far as the existence of Jesus goes, you got anything for us?
Well, the J didn't exist till the 1500s, so obviously there was never a man named Jesus that was crucified.
All right, listen here, you little shit. All right, I understand that the name technically would have been Yeshua or Yehoshua, something like that. Or Yahshua.
Right.
But
exactly.
at the end of the day, we are using the colloquial term Jesus because that's what everybody knows. But do you have any particular stance on the historical Jesus or Paul?
I mean, Paul was a heretic and a womanizer and a sexist.
A womanizer? Paul?
Yeah. I mean, listen to
He
Timothy
was
chapter
basically
2, verse
celibate.
12.
Oh, well, Timothy's not written. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, he was a jerk. He wrote it. He wrote that shit. And I do not permit a woman to teach or hold authority over a man. She is to remain silent.
How is he a womanizer?
Well, he's definitely a sexist pig, but he's
Well,
probably a womanizer
sure.
too.
Yeah, but I
we
mean,
can just assume that he spent a lot of time in brothels.
was that the thorn in his side? So I
Yeah.
think I think the overall idea of Paul was that he was more or less kind of an incel. I think that was kind of more the point.
What if he was a volcel?
I don't even know what that is. Wait, no, he's
Voluntarily
voluntary.
celibate.
So that's just called a priest.
Yeah. I mean, he was.
So,
He
yeah.
definitely had the amount of hate in him of a priest. I mean, you got to be hateful to be a priest, right? Hate the alien, the mutant, and the heretic.
Maybe, I don't know. I know an archbishop who's actually kind of cool, but like, I don't
Does he
know.
like scribe himself with litanies and like hate the alien, the mutant, and the heretic?
I don't know of those particular things. I think he's usually pretty chill.
Well,
How much does he arch? he arches that bish up.
Interesting.
Okay, it wasn't that funny, but
So yeah, I just wanted to point out that it was the ideas you guys gave me were fantastic, especially the can God create a dick so big that even he can't suck it? That
it's a very good question. It's a very good
that was a
question.
beautiful pearl that you guys gave me, and
Yeah.
so I've been like compiling all this into my argument, and it's great. Like I'm bringing the receipts to prove that Christianity is gay. Like prove me wrong.
All right. Well, there you go. Well, thank you very much. That is the God and Dragonaut Balls or whatever his name
thank
is.
you
And
guys.
I will see you guys later, or see you
All right,
later.
peace
then.
out.
All right. We got Marcelo's coming back up. And yes, that was something that initially I got from Cyber, which is the question: can God create a dick so big that even he can't suck it? That is.
That was awesome.
But anyways, Marcelo, you're back up. What's going on? What you got?
I wanted to show you, if possible, a source in relation to the name of Jesus that you guys were speaking about. Would you be
Okay.
able to make me big?
Well, it's not gonna
Thanks.
come across on YouTube. But is there any particular source that you can take me to where, or tell me about, so I can pull it up and share it over here for the whole class?
Yeah. Yeah. Let me see if I can. So, let's see. Okay, it's hard to see it from here from the app. The name. I had it in Greek so that I could show you that it is a grammarian talking about the letter iota
Okay.
and the iota. And he's saying that he's mentioning several of the names that the Christians and the Jews use as related to the doctor, iatros, right?
Okay.
Or the physician. And it says that Jesus is an epitheton ton Apollonon. This is an epithet of Apollo.
Okay.
Which makes more sense if it's invented, right? It's really not coming from a Hebrew tradition and so on. So,
Yeah, I mean, the names that are used within the New Testament for Jesus and the disciples and everything like that, they all have Greek. I mean, they're Greek. I mean, the New Testament is written in Greek, so they're all Greek words. They're Greek names. In fact, there are some that don't even have a Hebrew or Aramaic, like a Jewish variant. Like for instance, the name Andrews is Andros, but there's no version of that within Hebrew or Aramaic, so it's really strange. He's a Jewish fisherman, but he has a Greek name and no Jewish name. Like, it just seems really strange.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I wanted to share that just to add to the topic, right, of the historicity. There isn't really backup as well for the idea that it comes from a Jewish name, blah blah. It's most likely Greek.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of the story of Jesus and the Gospels and just about all the New Testament, it's going to be steeped in Greek culture. It's going to be steeped in the Greek language, the Greek culture, Greek ideas, some Egyptian stuff as well. But still, I mean, a lot of that is going to be coming from people outside of the Jewish faith and the Jewish culture. These people who are writing about these things are familiar with, like, the Old Testament through the Septuagint, which again itself is Greek. They're familiar with these ideas, but they're not super well versed in them. It's pretty obvious that the people who are writing the New Testament are not actually Jewish. They're just like familiar with Jewish ideas and Jewish culture.
It might be possible that the Septuagint is actually not just a translation, but a recreation or some kind of creative rework, if it's not original composition, because there is a lot of internal linguistic, philological evidence that it would be a lot Greek concepts and Greek structures, and not really being translated from the Hebrew.
I mean,
I would give you a great
maybe.
example
I
is
would say that the Greek
Amos.
translation is it. I would say that not only is it a translation and not a rework, but I would say that it's possibly even a translation that is given by the same people who wrote in Hebrew or Aramaic for the Old Testament. The
But
Septuagint, I
in
believe,
that case,
is pretty
I,
early
I
in the
I would
process.
say that a great example is Amos, the chapter 4 in Amos.
Mhm.
We can see in the Hebrew there is the word thoughts is translated in the Greek as Christ, and
Oh,
that
okay.
is just not compatible. Like we would have to either say, or either this Greek is original, or they are making up something else, a
Well, I
different
mean,
concept.
an occasional word isn't necessarily a remake or something like that.
No, it
It's just
happens
more or
throughout the
less
Greek, so
an
that
error.
is why I'm saying that is a great example because it's very, very explicit. But it is something that we have to take a look, but specifically comparing the Greek, like ancient Greek, not just Koine Greek. But
Gotcha.
well, that's another topic. I just wanted to add about the name of Jesus. I'm listening and I bought your book, so I'm looking forward to learn more. Thank you.
All right, yeah, not a problem. Let me know if you have any other questions on it. Thanks.
That's awesome. Thank you.
All right. So, thank you to anybody and everybody over there on the YouTube side of things. I think that we ended up having we had quite a few viewers there. Thank you very much. Went live for a little over an hour there over on YouTube, so thank you. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and shut down the stream temporarily. We're going to do a quick restart, and I'll be back over here on TikTok. A little older format there, but thank you very much to the people over there on YouTube. Let's see. Is that me thinking me? Okay, nope. Definitely not thinking him. I know who that is now. Let's see. And then have evidence of Jesus' existence. We even know what he looks like. This guy is pushing claims from Jew sources. I haven't even mentioned a Jewish source to divide us and push us further from God. Not even remotely close. I don't even know what the hell this guy's talking about. But he's over on YouTube saying he doesn't like that I'm spreading the truth in chat. I'm reading your comments, man. So if I had a problem with you, I'd disconnect you, or I'd block you. But I mean, you're just kind of saying dumb stuff. But okay. Anyways, if anybody over on YouTube, I'll go ahead and give YouTube a little bit of a chance to ask some questions. Yes, we are dual streaming on TikTok and YouTube. If anybody has any questions over on the YouTube side, I'll go ahead and open it up for questions over the next couple minutes there. I don't have anybody requesting up on TikTok side there. Wow, there's a huge comment there that says, do you love your family more than Jesus? No, Jesus' death. What? Many are called, few are chosen. God damn, have you ever heard of spaces in between words? Okay, love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. Get plus stay. Oh my God. Well, that person is insane. We're gonna go ahead and block that person. That's nonsense. All right. What else we got? What's under the hat? Hair, and a bunch of it. Let's see. Why swirly curly hair, not swirly today? What? Tahir? Let's see. What's in the box? I'm so proud of you, husband. Heart. Black hearts, by the way. For all you Xename fans out there. No white hearts here. Half the time. A small, an even smaller hat. Time you're going live with Trust. That's later today, as long as the internet holds up. Around about I think 5 or 6 or so. I came to say, what the fuck to hear? Oh my gosh. No. Cry. 5 p.m. I think it's 5 p.m. sometime in there. Mega Truth Fighter says, I'm no apostrophe. I'm saying nothing but facts. Wake up, guys. The truth will set you free. All right. Tahir says, LMAO. Listen here, Jeremy. All caps, Jeremy, by the way. So, like, listen here, Jeremy. Little bitch. Anyways, like, I'm not saying that to Tahir. Tahir is saying that to me. I like Jaren's curly front swirly thingy. I don't even know if I can get that. I don't even know if I can do it. Anyways. Read it. Oh, my wiggle Rex. Literally no verse in the Old Testament that says Messiah comes twice. Completely Christian fabrication. I didn't know that he came even once. I didn't know he was breathing heavy. There it is. All right. Yes, it's not curly. Sad day. Yeah, I'm sorry. Who the F is Jeremy? That's a good question. That is a good question. That's a good question for Tahir. Let's see. Over here, can I impersonate a religious nut to add a little excitement? No, I'm about to do it on. I'm restart there on TikTok, so that kind of thing. The little bitch is implied. That's not allowed on TikTok. Let's see. Yeah, who even is Jerry? OMG. Oh my gods. I guess that fucking Pantheon style of OMG is just. All right. Jeremy is Jared. Jeremy spoke at class. If you pray hard, Jesus will come inside. Oh my God. All right. You know what? YouTube was a mistake. We're going to go ahead and shut down that side of things. But I will see you guys before too terribly long. Thank you to anybody and everybody who stuck around longer than 30 seconds. 35-second gang, rise up. Now, this is just for YouTube because I will be right back over on TikTok. So I will see you guys here in a bit. See you guys.